Why, hello there, Flosstube. I'm filming in the evening, which means there's extreme ring light glare on my glasses, which is a little annoying, but bear with me. Maybe we can... Yeah, this is how professional I am. We're gonna... Yeah, it's still happening. In fact, that's just a little creepy ring. That's not necessarily what we want. We're leaving all of this in. YouTube professionalism at its finest. So I really wanted to film tonight, regardless of weird glare and lighting issues, because it's September 30th. That means tomorrow's October 1st, which means tomorrow, which is probably when you're watching this, if not a few days later, is the first of Dark October stitching. Michelle, Cozy Egg, and I have been hosting Dark October stitching. I think this is our 5th year. It's Dark October stitching, not anything else. Dark October stitching. We also do something every month called Dark 13 stitching, which is dark and creepy stitching on the 13th of the month. Dark October is dark and creepy stitching the whole month of October. This is getting on my nerves. So we're super excited about it. How bad is this? It's too yellow. We're just gonna have to deal. We're super excited about it. 5 years, and I have some pretty awesome stuff planned. So I'm excited to share that with you. I have a couple of framed pieces, a finish, an almost dark finish. I have some old finishes I want to share. I have some stash, some plans, some whips that I'm planning on pulling out for Dark October, and then just some things I'm into because you guys seem to enjoy that as well. So, gosh, where do we start? Let's start with fully finished things, because one of them is something that I just finished, and I immediately went and got it framed, and I picked it up today after work. I'm really, really happy with this. This is Leah Grinnell, 1872, by Mary Wind Farm. I believe I stitched this on a piece of Silkweaver Antique Almond. I love it. It's kind of got a dark feel to it because of the verse, which is, teach me to live that I may dread the grave as little as my bed. Teach me to die that I may rise glorious on that awful day, or at the awful day. So it's a little morbid for an 8-year-old, and I love it, and I can't wait to hang it up. My favorite framer and I picked out this beautiful molding and fillet. I'm probably mispronouncing, but fillet combination. I really feel like it brings out the colors in the sampler. This is a sal that I started with Jessie Marie, who, if you have not went and watched her recent Whip Parade movie, go watch it. If you're newer to Flosstube, Jessie Marie is an OG Flosstuber. She's been around longer than me, and she's phenomenal. So go search Jessie Marie Does Stuff and watch her Whip Parade. She's been out of filming regularly because, you know, she and her husband had a baby this year, which if I popped out a kid, like I wouldn't be filming as much either. So, but she's still stitching, and she's stitching and finishing phenomenal things. But she and I started this together, and I jumped ahead because I just loved it so much, and she's still working on hers, and it's... In fact, she and I picked out the exact same color for the house. Everything else is called for on mine. I picked a gas color for the house because I wanted it to be more of an over-dyed, weathered house look. And without conversing with each other, we picked the exact same gas color of chamomile. And I still say stitch it in chamomile, Jessie, because you picked it out. I picked it out. We picked it out separately from each other. And I kind of loved the idea that we were so on such connected wavelengths without even talking about it. So this is this. I don't know where I'm going to put it. I know some people stitch with places in mind for their pieces, and occasionally I do. But this one, I just loved the piece, and we'll see where I put it. Another piece that I got framed is one I finished earlier this year, and I just figured, you know, with Barb passing away and Halloween right around the corner, I really wanted this finished and framed for Halloween. So this is At First Cox Crow by Blackbird Designs. And it's really pretty. I stitched this on old linen or aged linen by XQ Designs in the called for threads. The only change that I made is I filled in the moon as a solid moon rather than having a face. Even did the lazy daisy stitches there. Love it. Got to find that a good place. And Halloween stitching stays up year round here at the Emily C house. In fact, this pillow that my husband got me today is probably going to stay out year round at the Emily C house. Just as this pillow that I bought last Halloween stays on my couch year round. That's just how we roll around here. Okay. Let's get into the mood with some dark finishes from the past. This first one, I'm apologizing in advance because it is out of print. The designer came back with an Etsy shop and sold it for a period of time last year, year before, and now that Etsy shop is gone. So I'm not really sure what happened. If you know what happened, let me know down below. But it was The Good Housewife, and this one is Book of Spells. This is mostly the called for threads. So much glare. This stays on my entry table year round, but it gets extra decor around it during the Halloween season. I love it. I love this one. And I stitched this on a piece of 32 count Wexford linen when I was on a Wexford linen kick. Sometimes you just want to stitch on something like 32 count, and this was like a vacation stitching piece for me because it was really easy to stitch on and I loved it. I remember I took this piece to Mammoth Caves in Kentucky. It went with me, and I always think about that trip when I see this piece. Another one, this one hangs in our bedroom, and this is Jack's Bash by Plum Street Samplers. This is in the called for thread with fabric that I dyed myself, and I excuse me, I also recharted the verse. So I was never a fan of the Hooray for Jack on his birthday verse. I wanted something that felt a little darker and more morbid that I felt like went with the piece. So I put in this piece of a poem by Emily Dickinson, which reads, "One need not be a chamber to be haunted. One need not be a house. The brain has corridors surpassing material space." I feel it's pretty perfect. I had someone reach out to me actually yesterday or the day before asking if I was willing to share where I had charted that, and absolutely, absolutely. They slid into my DMs, and as soon as I'm in a training at work right now, so I'm not at my office, but as soon as I'm back at my computer and have a moment to slow down, I will email that out. And if it's something that you're interested in, just reach out to me and let me know, and I can email it to you as well. I may actually have it on my Google Drive, and maybe that will be more effective to put it there and make it public where people can pull that. I will say, if you do stitch my converted verse, this flower right here, I want to say I had to scoot it over like a stitch or two so that it didn't butt up against it, but that was it. But yeah, this hangs right above my chest of drawers on my side of the bed, and I love it. I love it so much. Let's see. Right now, I am working on Halloween at Hollyberry Farm. I am a day or two away from a finish on this. The called for fabric for this is R&R reproduction linen, a 35 count 18th century rook. It is actually a really close, what I'm stitching on is one I dyed myself, and mine is very close to R&R 18th century blackbird, which I feel is, maybe that's a new version of rook, I'm not sure. I don't know. But 18th century blackbird, if you love my fabric, is a good substitution for what I have. I stitched everything in the called for colors on fabric that I dyed, and I am so close to a finish. Tonight, after I'm filming and this is uploading, all I have to do is fill in this, fill in across through here, and then I have to back stitch in the window panes on all of these windows. The next time you see this, hopefully it will be framed, and I will be able to hold it up and show it to you in its entirety. That's one reason I'm not taking it out of the Q-snap, because I kind of want to show it to you finished. I'm kind of excited. I really, really love this piece. It's so beautiful. And if you've never seen it before, the border is phenomenal. So cool. So yeah, so close to a finish. Can't wait. Let's do stash. I have a couple of gifts. I have some starts planned. Oh, let's do starts that are planned first, and whips that I have planned for Dark October, because I'm really, I'm excited. Can you tell this is my favorite time of year? It is. Okay, so this was released last month, I believe, by Twin Peak Primitives. And by the time I saw it, it was already sold out. It came out initially as a limited edition kit. It was gone. So surprised by, I'm not sure why they were surprised because it's fantastic, but surprised by the response, Twin Peak Primitives put it up as a download. And I have since seen it. It's even on 123 Stitch now that you can buy it, which honestly I'm a little frustrated about because I bought the download, which was more expensive than buy what you can pay on 123 Stitch and other places now. But I digress. You can buy it online, a hard copy. I downloaded mine and printed it. This is Haunted House Sampler. Fantastic. I am doing a sal for this because I love it, and I love for people to stitch things. I say stitch along with me, but I really mean start it with me, because that's how I roll when it comes to sals. They're start alongs, not stitch alongs. I plan on stitching this on a piece of Zweigart base, Weeks Dye Works. If it's been renamed, someone tell me, but this is 36 count Confederate Gray. It's labeled as that. That's why I'm calling it that. But we also all know this color. So I'm stitching it on this because it's a gorgeous, gorgeous fabric that kind of has a murky, gloomy look to it. The entire piece is DMC, but of course I converted it to overdyes because that's how I roll. So if you're starting with me in 2 weeks on the 13th of October, and you want to use all or a couple of the same overdyes that I'm using, listen up. I'm going to try to put it down in the description box below, but it may take me a few days. So instead of black, I have Gassed Witching Hour. I have as the medium gray Classic Colorworks baking tin. It's a little bit lighter than what's called for, but I liked that it felt like more of a true gray, maybe with a slight purple tone, but more of a true gray, which is hard to find in threads. For the coral red color, I'm using Buckeye Scarlet. So I have a lot of it, and it's a beautiful red. There are a few that I'm using that are going to be hard for you to find. For the, let me find it. Bear with me. For one of the grays, the one that there's 2 of, I believe. Let's see, which one is that? 413, the pewter gray. I'm using a Victoria Motto sampler thread that I got from a Halloween, you know, creepy grays box called Something Wicked. There's not a, it says there's not a DMC conversion for it, but that's what I'm using. You could very easily just use the 413. It's very similar, extremely similar. I already had this thread and I have a lot of it. For the darkest of the oranges, I am using Ginger Snap. For the lightest of the oranges, I am probably using this Color and Cotton that I got in a Halloween box. That is a limited edition. It's a silk. A good substitution, if you don't have that, is Weeks Dye Works Daylily. It's a little bit lighter, but that can work. Another good option would also be Gassed Bittersweet. For another one of the grays, I am using, actually this is not necessarily for the gray, but for the 844, I am using Garden Gate. Now, Garden Gate is one of those we know that Gassed, when you order it, it might be more this shade than that shade, so I can't guarantee that one. Probably would be good just to use 844. For the 3790, I'm using Sable. For my other orange, I am using Fragrant Cloves because I love fragrant cloves. It is, as I flip through my finishes here, one of the oranges in this piece. And then the last one is Shaker White. So that's what I'm using. Doing it on this, and I'm pretty pumped about it. It's gonna be kind of awesome. So for the crossover Dark October, Dark 13 stitching, you know you want to join in. Use the DMC. It's still going to be absolutely beautiful with the DMC, but the only thing that I bought extra of to do this was Witching Hour, and I just felt like being a little extra. Sometimes you just want to be extra, and on this I did. Even Jim looked at this and he said, that's pretty cool. So I felt like it needed a little something special. The next start, which I'm not sure when I'm going to start it yet, but it's Jessie Marie's fault. I mean, I'm straight up letting you know. And I messaged her and I said, this is not my normal style. I have never stitched a piece by this designer, but every time you pull this one out, I go, that's pretty cool. This is Clouds Factory Haunted House. It's cutesy, it's whimsical, but it's a giant haunted house, which is 100% my jam. My plan is to stitch it on a piece of 18th century Blackbird. You can see how this is very similar to what I'm stitching my, where did it go? To what I'm stitching this on. 18th century Blackbird, very close. So it's going to be cutting it close with 36 count with the width, because it's actually a pretty big piece. But I'm going to start in the center, and it's going to be what it's going to be. I'm also being extra on this piece because it calls for DMC. I have been in virtual trainings at work this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'm in in-person company retreat trainings today and tomorrow. When I say I'm overtraining, but when I was in virtual trainings Monday and Tuesday, like I was listening and taking notes, but I was also playing with thread because that's the joy of a virtual training. So Haunted House calls for all of these DMC colors. It's a lot. It calls for a lot. I got out, I took all my fancy thread boxes to work with me, and let's flip these to the beginning. Is this right? Is this what's happening? Anyway, these are all the colors that I'm going to use. I'm trying to use a lot of coloring cotton that I haven't used. I'm trying to use some Victorian motto that I haven't used. And there's still some DMC in here, definitely. And there's some gassed colors in here that are like nothing that are called for, but it's a color that I love, that I just wanted to use. So I'm really gonna have fun with it. And I'm really freaking excited about it. Like, here's a couple of Victorian motto. This one's Toad Spell. This one's Sleep Potion. I mean, to me, this is half the fun. Picking out fun colors from stash. This is why we have stash, as Brenda says. Although, this isn't a very Brenda piece, but Brenda understands. This is why we have stash. And these are not normal Emily colors, although my shirt today would make you think these are normal Emily colors. But the fabric's going to tone it down. It's going to be pretty freaking cool. Pretty cool. So there's that. That's not it. There's more. Barbara Anna came out with a new mystery salve. The first part is out. The second part comes out tomorrow. I haven't started it yet. And the third part comes out mid-October. I am looking to see if there's one I can show you that kind of shows you what it is so far. But I'll just show you this. It's Witchy Dreams Mystery Salve. Pretty cool. So I'm using DMC. This is the DMC for it. And I'm thinking I'm just in the mood for this fabric. This is my leftover from Halloween at Hollyberry because I had dyed a fat half. So this is my leftover. There's plenty to do this on plus some. Or or? You guys vote down below. Tell me what you think. I have this. This is Ametrine by Silkweaver. So I could either do Silkweaver Ametrine, which is kind of funky and subtle. Everything's falling. Everything's falling. The gray, or I can overdye this entire piece purple. And we're not talking like vivid, bright color of the top of this pill bottle purple. I'm talking like kind of a smoky gray purple, creepy, dusty, deep purple. You know what I mean. So try to dye it myself. And this is the other half of the Ametrine, which was just too funky for me. It's too much. Gray, or this. Let me know what you think. There's that. I've got to start this. Megan gave this to me as it's a piece that's being passed around. And she gave it to me forever ago. And I suck and haven't started it. And I need to knock it out during Dark October. This is Fancy Blackit by the Light of the Moon. And if you're like, oh, I stitched that. Yeah, this is probably the one you stitched. It's been sitting in my guest bedroom and I suck and I need to stitch it. So it's really simple. It'll be easy for me to stitch and then pass to somebody else. And as I finish it, I will probably offer it up on Instagram to pass to someone else. So, you know, call dibs on Instagram on the post where I finish it. It's been stitched by 5 people already, and there's a note on the back where everybody is listing their name, and I think that's kind of cool. It's been to different countries. It's neat. So I'm gonna smush it all in because this is, I know it's aesthetically the way that the designer wanted it, but to me it feels like a waste of linen, and I want a little tiny pocket. So there's that. So I'm gonna stitch this. You would think I had a lot of caffeine and sugar today. I'm feeling like really jazzed and amped up. I ordered from our dear Stephanie at Lindy Stitches, and I love that she draws on these. It says, "Hi, Emily and Jimbo." Look at that weird little cat. Stephanie, I love you. So yeah, weird little cat. And this is what came in it. I bought Halloween Tales because I think that purple horse is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. She was out of the thread packs when I ordered this, so I had to source the thread myself and stick it in here. So Halloween Tales outside of the DMC and some fabric. And I think I have an old piece of Picture This Plus Dill, which has since been discontinued, I think. But I think I've got some dill that this would look pretty cool on. So this. More Stephanie Weird Birds. And Stephanie, don't hate me. But I think I'm going to take the words off and squish the border down some. And just have this beautiful thing that the name of which is eluding me at the moment, but it has a name. And then the border is awesome. That is awesome. The birds are genius. The fact that the turkey has this blue in it, it's amazing. I bought the thread pack for it. I mean, Stephanie's a genius. I don't know what I'm going to stitch this on. It won't be the called for, but I'm sure I have something in stash. So cool. So cool. I might start this in November. What else? So McKenna, Stitching in Sequins, did a video, and I think it was like a video or two ago, where she talked about this designer. And it was honestly a designer I had never heard of before. But this is Miss Prim, Cross Stitch Designs by Rhonda Knopf. And she has an Etsy shop. I think it's called Rhonda's Originals. But this is the one that I went ahead and bought. And I really want to do it in the called for blue. This weird little cat. This is Quincy the cat and Scoot. Look at Quincy. And then Scoot the mouse hanging out of his mouth. Scoot's fine. Don't worry about Scoot. They're buddies, apparently. But I want to do it in the call for colors. It takes 7 skeins of Gassed Midnight, which apparently is a color you can't find right now. So this goes in stash. One day, you know, colors will be reproduced again, and I'll be able to find 7 skeins of Gassed Midnight. I mean, he's cool. When I was a kid, we entered our house through the back. Like our front door was on a hill. Like it made no sense. Like no, you didn't come in through the front door. It was dangerous. But everybody came in through the back, off the back porch. And you came in through the laundry room, and then you were in the kitchen. And when it was like nice weather where we didn't, because when I was really little, we didn't have like centralized heating and air conditioning. Yes, I lived in Georgia. I don't understand how that was something that we did. We had like a window unit and an attic fan and ceiling fans. So the kitchen door stayed open a lot. And my mom had sewn together this patchwork cat that was cut out like this, and it was blue, and it was stuffed, but to make it heavy so it would hold the door open, it would rattle, and it had like a mason jar in it, is what it sounded like, full of rocks, full of marbles. I don't know what she put in there. I'll have to ask her. But this reminds me of that. So not only is this cat just cool, but he reminds me of the cat from my childhood that lived in the kitchen. And he may live in my kitchen one day when I find 7 skeins of Midnight. So there's that. Water break. Let's see. We'll go through some more stash. I bought another vintage Owl Lady bag because this is a different fabric and I needed it because it's creepy and floral and Halloweeny, and I have a problem. Ugh. I did not even realize, because this just came today. How did I not realize that it has this cool fabric on the inside? Susan! Susan! Oh my gosh. Y'all, Susan's a genius. Stephanie's a genius and Susan's a genius. More stash. So these are 2 things that came out recently that I needed. Kathy Barrick, the Autumn Pin Drum. And if you haven't seen it, like you can just see the front most of the time where it's pictured, but this shows you there's like a tree on either side of the house, and then on the very back you stitch it together down the center of this pumpkin urn. It's just kind of brilliant. It's a good one. It's a good one. I also bought this piece by Stacy Nash. This is Butternut House Pinky. This was so popular, and with reason, because it's a good one. This looks like all DMC except for one Weeks Dye Works. Looks like Weeks Dye Works charcoal, but I don't know. Maybe I'll play with it once I finally get around to stitching this. I ordered these from Mad for Minders, which is my absolute favorite place to get needle minders. And every now and then they have one and I'm like, okay, well now it's time for me to buy a set of minders again. So I saw this Tombstone Angel, and then Nicole has been using this one on showing it on Instagram, and I just loved it so much. I had to have one. I had to be her twin. So then I pick out a few more that need to come home with me. And this witch was on this card, but she had to go immediately onto this piece. So I got these, because if you buy so much, you get free shipping, because in my head that makes sense. So I bought these, and she was so sweet, and she sent me some fabrics. I love these. This one, I've got to figure out what I would put on it. I don't know, but something. And this one, oh, wait. Is this the right color for this? Did she know? Yeah. Avika, what color is this? There's no tag on it. Do you know? Is this Riviera Olive Linen? I don't know. Is it? Because it's gonna work like it. That's cool. This is going with this. And then the last thing is Brenda and Laura's fault, because they keep talking. Oh, it's not the last thing. I lied to you. They keep talking about this color linen until I had to buy a piece. This is XG Designs Marbled Pointer. That's pretty true to color. It's pretty. I told Laura, I sent her a text and said, this is your fault. I had to get it because it just looks so pretty. And as I do my 40 starts next year, I felt like something needed to be started on Marbled Pointer. And I was thinking about it, and I have kitted up the Floral Motif sampler, which is, it's the Brenda sampler of 2021. And what do we think about Floral Motif sampler on Marbled Pointer? Brenda, Laura, what do you think? I think that could be cool. So the other thing that I bought that came out this week, which is very dark October appropriate, is Creepy Cross Stitch. And this is by Lindsay Swearingen, and she is the creator behind Tuscan Cardinal. And I've been following her on Instagram for a while and seeing all of her neat creations, and she does these wooden houses and fills them, and I think it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. But when I saw that this was being released without knowing what was in it, other than what you can see on the cover and a couple of like things that she's put out there, I was like, well, I'm ordering that. I'm not going to show you everything, and I know there are people that will, but I'll show you a couple of my favorites. I kind of dig the rat. The rat's kind of cool. Talk amongst yourselves. I like the mid-century haunted room. That's neat. There's a skull and a cloche with a plant growing out of it, which, if you know my new obsession of plants, that's pretty cool. I think I've picked up the pretty cool. Does anybody watch Resident Alien? Yeah. Alan Tudyk. Anything that he does, I'm a fan. There's so much cool stuff in here, and it's all great. I could happily stitch every single thing in this book, and there's 25 projects in here. The ghost is awesome. That feels very Beetlejuice to me. No feet. Let's see. I have so many things to talk about. I have, okay, whips. Whips that I'm planning on bringing out during Dark October stitching. Ghoultide welcome. I really want to get some more done on this. That's all you get. Ghoultide welcome. And this one I would like to finish during Dark October. We'll see if I can. This is probably my oldest active whip right now. This is Away We Ride by Blackbird Designs. And I think I can finish it. I think I can. So, you know, goals. I actually see, because I forgot to put my phone on airplane mode, which I usually do, I can actually see Michelle or Cozy Egg messaging me at the moment saying that she wants to chat because we're planning something for Dark October. More details to come. But we're thinking about maybe a little small Dark October event towards the end of the month. Virtual. And small, not for any type of exclusivity, but just because we can only handle small. And it's hard for people to interact if it's big. So we'll have more details on that to come. We're really excited about it. 5 years in. Things that I'm into. Let's talk about that before we go. And I chat with Michelle. I'm still into HelloFresh. HelloFresh is helping me make better choices and eat less drive-through and cook more and cook with fresh ingredients. Go figure. I have lost some weight, which I don't know if you can tell or not. I had someone tell me today, remarked on it, and you know, it makes you feel good because when you're trying to, it makes you feel good. So yeah, you can actually, I'm starting to have a waist again. I didn't have a waist before. I was starting to be kind of shaped like a potato. Nothing against potatoes. Love me a good potato. So I feel good. It's a plus. Still into plants. I have 3 here to show you. So we'll jump into that. I have my Hoya Crimson Queen. If you want a cool, unusual plant that is harder to kill, I'm not going to say you can't kill it. You can definitely kill a Hoya. Get a Hoya. They're kind of succulent-y. They've got these thick, hard leaves. This one has an all-white leaf right now. And I'm really, really into it. It's a cool plant. I have my most recent plant purchase, which is this cactus. It's a fairy castle cactus. I don't feel like I have to explain why it's called that. It's a little phallic, if we want to be real honest about it. Okay, it's a lot phallic, if we want to be real honest about it. It's the mini penis plant, but it's really cool. And this is one of the cactuses where there are spikes on here, like right there, but for the most part, it's kind of fuzzy. The last one I'll show you plant-wise, I have to be really careful with because this is a very delicate plant. Watering, moving, repotting, getting too close to it, looking at it wrong. This plant can lose pieces. So I'm actually going to move a couple of things to grab it. Okay. This is a succulent. This is a Burrows tail succulent. I mean, if this isn't dark October appropriate though, I don't know what is. The fact that I'm moving this around for you guys should show how much I love you, because it's so fragile. Look at this weirdo though. I so hope this is my thumbnail. I'm just gonna sit like this for a while. But seriously, it's really cool. Despite the fact that it is so fragile and easy to break, this is an easy plant to care for. You water it, not too much, and if some of it does break off, you can just drop it back in there and it will propagate into a new plant. In fact, I broke off part the other day and I just stuck it down in the soil and was like, good luck, buddy. So it's not the end of the world if you break part of it. It just makes me sad. It's so cool. It's so cool. Such a cool plant. Okay, let me put this over here. Arg. Okay. Fall and Halloween. Obviously, that's something I'm into. Behind me is Halloween decorations and garlands across the mantle. I mean, and this weekend, the pumpkins in the cemetery go out in the yard. So that's happening. Right, Buster? And, okay, so fall and Halloween. There's been several TV shows I've been pretty into lately. My co-workers and my boss were telling me about this show, and I swear I thought they were saying Mayor, M-A-Y-O-R, of Easttown. And I was like, I'm not really into political shows. It doesn't sound like something I would like. So I ignored them for months. They were saying Mayor, M-A-R-E, of Easttown. And it's a true crime limited series on HBO Max. And it's freaking amazing. Jim and I, like, he watched part of the first episode with me, and he was like, I've got to go, but go ahead and watch, but then I'm probably going to have to get caught up so that we can finish this together. It was so good. If you're into true crime, dark serial shows, yeah, that one's for you. I just rewatched Dexter from beginning to end because they're coming back with a new season. I don't have Showtime, but I'm gonna for a little while to watch that. So I think that comes out in November. While I wait on that, I am rewatching Bates Motel, which is a great spooky show to watch this time of year. I've started watching a few episodes of Creepshow, the new one. The very, 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 very first episode isn't that great. But fun fact, the house that's in it, like I made Jim pause it when we were watching it, and I said, hold on. That's the house down the street. And he was like, no, it isn't. And I was like, no. When we walk around our neighborhood, we live in a subdivision in our town that was built in like the 90s, but we are steps away from the like historic downtown where this old house is. I walk by it all the time, and I was like, I know that house. I walk by it all the time. Sure enough, it's the house down the street from us. So cool. So watch Creepshow, the very first episode of season 1, the greenhouse. Yeah, it's down the street. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. And we're about 3 episodes in. They get better after that one. That one had a really, really bizarre ending. We also love us some dating shows. Some dating reality shows. We are so into Married at First Sight, it's ridiculous. So if you want to chat Married at First Sight with me, that's definitely something we can do. Jim and I watch it every Wednesday. Another show that we watched the first season of, and they just came out with the second season, and we're waiting until we have time to just kind of binge it all together, is Love on the Spectrum. That's a good one. It's a good dating show. It's heartwarming and it's good. I think that's it. So happy Dark October stitching. Happy October. If October could be here all year round, I think I would have this smile on my face all the time. Join some start-alongs with me. Start Haunted House Sampler with me. Start the Haunted House by Clouds Factory with me. Or just pull out your dark stitching and use the hashtag. If you're not on Instagram, send me pictures. I get so excited about seeing everybody's dark stitching this time of year. So slide into my email. Hit me up on Facebook. I don't care. All of the dark, spooky things bring me so much joy, and I need it. I can use some dark joy. Send me your horror movie recommendations. Jim and I are going to try to watch lots of horror movies this month. I've been saving Malignant to watch. It's the new one that's come out. I've already watched the last Conjuring movie. Time of year. All right, I gotta go. Bye, guys. Happy Dark October.